Looking forward to next year. Ministerialship still in your blood, but don't think you're going to get it?
I think most MHKs, they'd be lying if they said they wouldn't want to go to the next level.
Some say they don't.
No, I've always said I think I'd love to be a minister. I don't think it'll happen in this administration. I
still feel the same now.
Yeah, I think there is some very good MHKs there who probably will get there before me. That's because I'm still doing the job in my own way, and that is working with colleagues, but holding government to account. Some would say I'm holding them too much to account at times. Some would say, you know, from a constituent point of view, I'm not holding them enough to account. So it's about getting this balance. Yeah, I definitely would love to be a minister, but I'm not pushing for it. I found that balance now, and it's taken me 3 years to find the balance where I'm very comfortable. I like the departments I work with, work in. I love the scrutiny of the Environment and Infrastructure Policy Review Committee. You know, I love working on behalf of constituents, so I'm not overly. When I first came in, I desperately wanted to become a minister. Things have slowed down a bit. I'm trying to learn the job. I want to do the job right. I want to represent people correctly. I want to be fair and open and transparent to people. So, if I was offered if in a reshuffle, yes, I'd certainly take it with both hands.
And for instance, the TT coming up this, the ongoing. Have you got more work to be done on that? Because you're technically, that's your biggest thing, isn't it? I'm imagining it is. Although we could talk the promenade, and you were looking after this, the committee looking into it. Then you pulled yourself off it.
Well, there's two ways to look. Well, the TT to start with. I think the motorsport team are again looking at how this event can evolve. I think it does tie in also with the area plan for the East. I think there's a big story coming out of there, because when we talk about the area plan for the East and we talk about the motorsport, why are we continuing trying to develop exiting or entering via the TT course? Will that put pressure on this event in years to come? You know, if you look back in 5 years' time, will there be people shouting that I can't get home in the evening because you've built...
They're shouting this year about that.
Well, they are, but it's increasing. So that's
every
something...
year,
yep, so that's something that's been overlooked.
What would you like to do then? You've got an idea on that?
I think we've just got to build... We've got to be really careful of where we're building on the island.
Well, you need new access for those 4 weeks?
I think we do.
Flyover, underpass, what?
I think there may be something looked at with regard to a flyover, underpass or whatever. I think something has to happen. We do
4 weeks a year. That's the biggest seller, isn't it?
I think it can be used a lot more than that if we put it in the right place. It's just given another access point. We definitely need another access point.
Let's talk about the prom cricket. What you were on this very impassionate, then you pulled yourself off it because you said it conflicted.
Well, I was very in February. The departments through myself, Laurie Hooper, Tim Krukle, we started getting correspondence from hotels and businesses saying that there was something going on the promenade which they didn't agree with. So we started asking questions. I then put it through to my committee, which I chair, which is the Environment and Infrastructure Policy Review Committee. We started looking at it. I went to take evidence, and then I realised that the hotels were starting to shout a little bit more than I thought through the correspondence I received. The committee themselves, Claire Barber and Chris Robershaw, felt that I was conflicted. I didn't agree with it. I still don't agree with it to today.
They were
felt,
putting the pressure on you.
And the clerk of Tynwald felt I wasn't. In hindsight, I think in time I would become conflicted. However, what happened is I had the choice was either resign from the department, which I would have done if I felt I needed to, or what I would have actually, or the other thing was to step down from the committee. Now, the reason why I stepped down from the committee, not the department, is very simple, because I can still scrutinise everything that's going on the promenade, on the floor of Tynwald and in the House of Keys. What I can do in the department is to influence those decisions being made to make sure they're supporting the hotels. And to be fair to the DFE officers, they've worked tirelessly since February to make sure that hotels are listened to. Now, there is still...
Really? Are you serious?
Because they have.
We're not getting still hearing reports of lack of communication?
No, not from DFE.
Okay.
Not from DFE.
So you're happy with their improvement?
They have worked tirelessly, and they've been down there so many times.
Right.
There is major problems with the promenade, but it more relates to the schedule of works. Now,
and communication.
I think it goes beyond communication now. It's about these works, and that was where I was focused on originally. Why was the focus of the tension in the tram tracks in the first place? Who authorised that, and who agreed?
And you got them stopped, basically, haven't you?
Well, I wouldn't say I got them stopped, but I've just given my view.
It seemed the tipping point, didn't it? When you suggested they didn't run next year, and then they've stopped already this year.
I've suggested it, and I know a hotelier absolutely slated me in the paper for it, which is absolutely fine, and he got both barrels back in the correspondence, because if you're talking to me as the person in charge of tourism, trying to look after hotels and looking after guests, yes, guests, visitors come to the Isle of Man would want to use the horse trams. I get that. However, if you then have a problem that those horse trams are blocking access to those hotels, or it could provide additional dropping off points for coaches, or it could provide parking. That's the thing.
There was mentioned this contract this year that they had to run. Isle of Man newspapers have done freedom of information. They don't seem to have exactly a contract to see yet. I'm sure that's rumbling on. But next year you're absolutely. Are you sure there's going to be no horse trams, or is that just your?
It's not my. It's not my decision.
You must have some sway.
No, I will be trying to feed that through to DOI. I just feel when we take stock of everything, if that is the only option left, which can support those hoteliers, get people into their businesses, also, absolutely help the visitors, especially the coach industry, who has to have drop-off points given the age. It also then raises those questions about the scheduling. Why were we working on the promenade next to the hotels during the summer and not in the winter? Why did we not work on the seaward side in the summer?
Great questions.
These are the questions. And this
you're going to ask it more
and
about?
I've asked this. And there was, when I've done my research, why did the minister, the DOI minister, say he's going to reduce the schedule of the works from 5 years to 2 years? Nobody put pressure on him to do it. I'm not saying 5 years was far too long, but what he could have done, there's no evidence to say why the minister made that statement in Tynwald.
Okay, we can talk about this another time. Very quickly, is there anything you really want to see done in this next year? I mean, termination of life and all that sort of thing. Still,
I think we looked at termination of life. I think it's going to be too late for this administration.
Right.
I've got to hope that someone picks it up in the next administration. I'm very much in favour of it. Unfortunately, I can see, depending on what is published in the area plan for the East, going into January, I think most of next year is going to be taken up with the area plan for the East, fighting for Birch Hill residents, fighting for Onchan. I'm hoping, I've had meetings with Chris Thomas, I've made pleas to the inspector, I've made pleas to Chris Thomas and everybody else in the Cabinet Office to remove those 3 fields. And because there's enough evidence. The Tynwald resolution said Onchan should not expand any further to the fabric edge. We've got major problems with sewerage, infrastructure, parking, you name it. Everything.
They're only flooding that.
They need to be removed.
Right. Quickly, how do you rate yourself? I need these fairly quickly this
time.
Okay,
that's no problem. I'll still rate myself 7, but from a constituency point of view, I think I'm heading towards 8 because I really have put so much work in.
Great, you didn't break it down to 3 this time. That's all right.
No, that was for Parliament.
There's 2 votes. You last year gave you 3 just on you.
I think based on what the comments coming back from constituents, I think they feel really happy with the amount of work I've done for the area plan. So I'll take myself up to 7.5, 8.
Okay, great. And how's government?
Government, unfortunately, I think I gave them a 7 last year.
I'm going to give them 8 actually.
Okay, if the 7, I'm going to take them down to 6.5, and I don't think
they're doing a good job last year. So what's happened?
And I think what's happened in the last 12 months, Promenade is one. I think there's been 2 departments that have introduced stealth taxes again, which is something I really hate. The budget is very clear that if you, for example, if you're going to increase bus fares, it should be in the budget to tell people what's coming down the line. I still think there's problems over social housing rent where it's not being set with a firm knowledge of people's ability to pay. In a private sector, you get an opportunity to actually just downsize if you financially struggle. In social housing, you have no other avenue.
You're going to keep your eye on all this, right?
So I think government, I'm going to drop down to 6.5, which is
Still
disappointing.
dropping faster than that?
Yeah, no, 6.5.
From 8?
Well, it's because of what's going on with the promenade. I think there's other problems going on, and but there's other sections within government that I would score a 9 because I think some of them have worked really well.
We'll take you 6.5 this year. We'll see you next year on this one.
Thank you.